Hey guys, Waterfowler41 here, and in today's video we are going to be installing Deezee's bedside step. So this is part number DZ6207S. This is for the 2019 and newer Ram pickup trucks. And essentially what this does is it installs underneath the corner of the driver's side of your bumper. And basically the bumper, it's a fixed step, so it hangs just a little bit below your bumper so you have access. So once you pop down the tailgate, you got a step to hop up in there. One thing that I really miss from my GM is, if you notice, a lot of the GMs from 2014 to newer had the indents in the side of the step, and it was inside of the bumper, and it's basically a step. So you'd hold on to the stake hole pocket here and then step up on the bumper to get into the bed of the truck. So with the Rebel, it's a higher truck, it's a little bit more pain in the butt, and when you're hopping up in and out, when you're packing up for, you know, every weekend when we go up to the lake house, it gets to be tiring, kind of a pain in the ass. So what we're going to do is install that Deezee bed step down there. So for a while I had the WeatherTech step on the back that went in the hitch. Now the only issue with that, I liked it because it's plastic so it never rust, but the only issue with that guy is if you had your tonneau or your tailgate down, so let's say I had my kayak in the bed of the truck so that the tailgate would be down, it'd be blocking the step, and the step was basically useless. With that step, it gives you enough clearance off to the side so when you have the tailgate down, you can hop up into the truck. So as far as installation, it is a pretty simple one. So you got all these holes on this bracket here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. They utilize existing bolts that are attached underneath your truck. And as far as tools that you'll need, get yourself a 21mm wrench as well as a socket and a ratchet. And that's essentially it. Now one thing I did learn when I was doing a test fit is this bolt is there on the truck. These two bolts are there. However, this bottom bolt is not there. So what you'll have to do, at least on my truck, so I have a 2020 Rebel, is you'll have to go out and pick up a M14 bolt to fit into that bottom hole. There's an existing welded nut underneath the truck, and I'll show you it in a second, but there is no bolt there. And I'm not sure if that's just because my truck is a Rebel or if it's just kind of a change in design. But you need to buy the new bolt. You don't need to get a crazy long one. This is about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. Just enough to get through this bracket and then hold into the threads that are in the bracket. All right, we are underneath the truck and we're basically looking at, this is the hitch right here. So there is a bolt. These are the two outside bolts. I already moved this one because I needed to get a size for it so I could figure out what kind of bolt I needed in the other hole. So we're gonna remove these two guys. There's a bolt up underneath this harness here. We're gonna remove that carefully. And then this is the hole right here that I said that you gotta use for the bottom of the step bracket. Now you can see there's a welded nut in there, but there is no nut. And I checked both sides. Both sides do not have it. And actually this side, the driver's side, is the only side that actually has the welded nut. So what we're gonna do is use that M14 bolt I picked up from Menards, and we're gonna use that to install right here. So as far as prepping for assembly or prepping for installation, we just need to remove those bolts. And you need the wrench because you need to get kind of in a tight area here. Now this little harness is here. It's gonna be a little bit in the way, as are my wires for my reverse lights, my zero reverse lights, but we'll just carefully move those out of the way and get everything up in here and installed. So like I said, the first thing I'm gonna do is get all those bolts out of there. I'm not sure what loosens up when you pull those out. I don't think much because we're not undoing this guy, and this guy seems to be holding a lot together as well. So let's carefully undo those 3 bolts, get everything lined up, and then slap right in there, and then we should be good to go. And I'll take a look. Okay, so I got the bolts out. These are 2 long bolts, and then this one up here behind the harness, a little tiny short one. It's about the same length as that new bolt I bought for the lower position. So once you unbolt everything, nothing falls down or anything, so you're good to go on that front. So the next thing I'm going to do, just to give me some extra clearance, is pull this little connector off, because I think the bracket might interfere with this guy. So what I'll do is I'll pop that up. It'll give me enough room to slide the bracket up underneath this whole harness, then I can zip tie everything down once I get a bolt in here so the harness is in there. It's going to be a rather tight fit, especially with this harness here. Luckily this is a shorter bolt here, so it gives you plenty of clearance to get everything in from the top. So it just takes some monkeying around to get everything in there. So like I said, I'm going to use a panel pry tool to pull this guy off, and then ultimately I'll go back in and zip tie it. But I think that's all. Might need to clip this zip tie just to give me some room. And again, this is from my reverse lights that I wired in there right there. So this is just extra harness. You probably won't have that if you don't have reverse lights. But all of this is just to give me enough room to slide that bracket up underneath all these wires and then get my Deezee step in there. So let's go ahead and pop this guy off and slide the step in. All right, so the step is installed. What I ended up doing is, let me see if I can reach up in here. I did end up having to pop that wire harness off from the chassis because this bracket for the step actually goes over the top of that hole. The hole's right there. So for now, everything's just kind of hanging there. It's fine. Everything's nice and taut, so I don't think it's anything to worry about. Then the other thing I ended up doing is popping up this harness, pushing this clip up just to free up this guy out of the way so I can get that bolt out, but also so I could thread it back in. So we have the short bolt up here, the two long bolts back here, and then the new bolt right here that didn't come on my truck, but it was an M14 2.0 bolt. So you can get that in whatever length as long as it's beyond an inch, inch and a half. So you can see, I think mine's an inch and a half, 2 inches, and it goes plenty beyond the thread, so it's in there solid. So this took all of about 30 minutes to do. Pretty simple installation. All right, so there you have it. That is the step installed, and that's the view you get from outside the truck. So it protrudes a little bit from the bumper, gives you plenty of clearance for your foot here, but not as low hanging as I thought, which is nice, because that was what I was kind of losing sleep over with this guy, was how low is this fixed step going to hang. I didn't want it to kill completely my departure angle, but honestly it's not a huge issue. Now, one note before we get into measuring how low that actually goes, I understand that there's other steps on the market, ones that fold up here, and I think Mopar just released one that folds up here. Those are pricey, so those are $175+. I think this guy is less than $100. So honestly, it doesn't hang down that low. This is awesome. And it's aluminum, so it's not going to rust. And my running boards are also from Deezee, and those are aluminum, and they still look good as new, provided albeit they're a little dirty right now, but they look great. So let's take a look at how low this bad boy hangs. So let's see. I'll try and do this one-handed. Okay. So your stock Rebel bumper is roughly 20.5 inches off the ground. So this guy at its lowest point is 16.5 inches. So you do lose a couple inches by installing this, but if you consider the fact that your exhaust tips are at 19 inches and your hitch is probably at 19 inches as well, you're really only losing 2.5 to 3 inches of departure angle in the back. Now, for most of us, not an issue at all. For those guys who really like to rip through off-roading and a lot of the whoops and dips and everything, that may or may not be an issue for you. But honestly, I'm pretty happy with the mounting of the step here. So with that said, about a half hour to install this bad boy, just moving those harnesses out of the way, undo the 3 existing bolts, and then reinstall 4 bolts. You got to add your M14 2.0 bolt on there, and that is it. Go ahead and check it out. I'll leave a link down in the description to this step itself. They make it for a whole bunch of body styles, but honestly, I haven't seen too many people with this step, and I don't really know why. And I guess I suspect it's because people really don't know how low it hangs and if it's really going to be an obtrusion once you get it installed on the truck. But honestly, now that I'm seeing it in person, it looks awesome, and it does not hang that low. So that said, another video. Appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions on the installation. Like I said, I got a couple new videos coming up in the pipeline. We might be lifting up the truck a little bit, and I got a couple little doohickeys I bought on Amazon that I'm going to show you how to install on the inside of the truck here. But with that said, appreciate you guys watching the video. Like, comment, subscribe below. Thanks a lot. Bye.